Welcome everybody for this. It was supposed to be the final session, but because everyone's having such a wonderful time. We'll see what happens. But one thing which I did put on there, we always think that the retreat's going to end. But retreats never end. You go back home, it's just a different type of meditation object life. And when you go home, that's when you find out actually how this meditation has affected your life. And even in simple things. I still remember those days we used to have meditation retreats over in town, any place we could find. And when we used to hold them in town, and the last talk I gave advice to everybody, please don't just drive home straight away. Just do a couple of loops around the car park to get yourself kind of up the gears. Because sometimes people would leave, they would leave the retreat centre and I'd be driving too slowly or they couldn't react fast and they'd crash their cars. And you don't want you to crash the cars unless you really want to announce them. But you have to be careful of other people's safety. Sometimes even some of you think you may not have got as deep as you expected. But my goodness, you do get so much calm and so much peace because everybody else is going in the same direction. You don't really notice it, but it's there. And you find out, especially when you go home and see your friends at work tomorrow or just in your home, they're really so surprised at how just 9 days has changed you. You don't notice it, other people do. And certainly that's one of the things which really impressed me. Just, after I went on a retreat and then came back again, sometimes actually the world looked different and I was different to other people. Just because you were relaxed and peaceful. And if you've had a hard time getting permission from the people you live with to go on retreat, when they see you, the new improved product, they're so impressed that if you want to ask to go on the next retreat, they say, yeah, please. You're a much better person. That's just in your natural behavior. Softer, kinder, and your priorities in life are just readjusted. And what's the most important thing in life? Not just to survive, but to be peaceful and kind. It's not just good for you, it's good for all the people who you actually live with. And so many times that when I used to go and teach in the Armadale group, when it was like a live group, we did that in Armadale Hospital, so many times people would come to that meditation in Tuesday evening and they would say, I never felt like coming to the meditation this evening. I was just really tired. I've been working hard at work and so many other things to do. And it was my kids sent me here. The little kids, 7, 8-year-olds. Mummy, are you going to meditation tonight? No, I'm too tired. Mummy, you should go to meditation tonight. No, I don't feel like it. Mummy, go to meditation tonight. Why, darling? And the little kids will say, because Mummy, you're a much nicer, kinder, softer mummy when you come back from meditation. And when a kid tells you that, they realize that there's something in this. So I know that many of you will be asked by your friends and relations, how did you go on the meditation retreat? And the answer is, I lost so much. Remember what I said, what meditation is about? Not attaining things, but letting things go. Now this is one story I haven't told you yet. If you've been on other retreats, you've heard this. There used to be this place over in Sri Lanka, and it closed down since, but they used to do like 2-month retreats. And on that 2-month retreat, they didn't just teach meditation, they taught Dhamma, really sort of from the Buddhist texts. And Afterwards, they'd have a number of teachers there, and at the end of the retreat, they'd give you a quick exam and check your meditation, see how you did. So it was popular for a while, but anyway, this family over in Colombo, their mother was coming from up country to stay with them for a while, and they thought, we're really busy, but we should look after our mum. We don't really have much time. What can we do? And they came up with this really good idea. Let's sponsor our mother to go on this meditation retreat. We'll pay everything. She'll like it, and also we don't have to look after her. So that's what they did. And anyway, she went on that meditation retreat, and she's a really good meditator, knows a lot about Buddhism. So at the end of the retreat, that's when they gave her the exam. Ask her, what was your meditation? Did you get nimittas? What were they like? Jhanas? And they also ask her, when you were, do you understand the Four Noble Truths? What do they really mean? And all these other little things. And they were really impressed with her. So impressed that they had their meeting, and they confirmed, unanimous. And they brought her in and said, ma'am, we're really proud of you. You've done extremely well. We all agree 100% you are a stream winner. And at that, she got really angry. I said, what are you getting angry for? Being a stream winner is a wonderful achievement. Half the people in Sri Lanka would be so happy to be stream winners. They keep on asking me, they even got a special word for it, a so one. You've heard that word before, being a so one. Would you like to be a so one? They said, oh yeah, it's a wonderful achievement. Well done. And they were getting out the certificate to present it to her. She said, you don't remember me, do you? She said. And of course that gets you worried when somebody says that. No. I was here a few years ago, and you gave me a non-returner certificate. You've demoted me. That's why I'm angry. You can't go backwards that way. You can't get demoted. So it just was showing this place was a bit of a scam. So anyhow, when you go back, you say, what did you get in the meditation retreat? What did you see? I experienced nothing. And when they say, did you ask for your money back? What are you talking about? Nothing is higher than anything. Nothing is just so wonderful. So what have you got on this retreat so far? Nothing? Are you happy? If you're not happy, you haven't understood what we're doing here. So what actually is the truth of things? I'm not trying to do a scam or something and just get you going away. So it's a wonderful treat. What happened? Nothing. Because when you understand what we're doing here, to let go of things, to be peaceful, to be still, then soon that becomes one of the highest achievements. Stillness, the emptiness, where you've got to the end, which is nothing. Do you know why I say that? I should have told a story earlier. One of Ajaan Chah's stories, I think another one many of you have heard before. This is one of the most profound. Because maybe about 6 months or 12 months before I came to Australia, Ajahn Chah was getting sickly. And we had this idea as Western monks. We'd read that in the time of the Buddha they would have saunas in these Buddhist monasteries. This was over in India. Saunas were not invented in Sweden. Buddhists were there much earlier, 2,500 years earlier. And so we thought, why don't we build a sauna, and so we can look after our teacher, Ajahn Chah. But actually the real reason was because many of the monks wanted to have a sauna. But it didn't matter, it worked out really well. So we built a sauna, and Ajahn Chah would come over every week to take a sauna. But before he came over, he'd always give a lovely Dharma talk. And I mentioned to you that sometimes the talks were terrible, sometimes it was just so inspiring. This particular day was one of the most inspiring talks I've heard. It was gorgeous, beautiful. And when you hear a wonderful Dharma talk, you get inspired. I got so inspired. There were so many other monks wanted to look after Ajahn Chah, to take his robe, wash his robe, and just help him in the sauna, give him a back massage. So many other monks, and I thought I was so peaceful and full of delightful energy because of the Dhamma talk. I just went round the back of the hall, crossed my legs and sat, meditation. Didn't know how long I was going to sit, it was 2 hours. When I came out of the meditation, my mind was so happy and peaceful and clear. The first thing I thought, let's go and walk to see Ajahn Chah and just see if anything else I can do for him. And as always, it wasn't what I could do for him, it what he did for me. Because he was just coming just at the time I was going to see him. And we couldn't avoid each other, we had to cross on the path. And just before he saw me, some of you heard this before, totally 100% accurate. Just before we were about to cross, he stopped and looked at me. And I don't mind saying this. This is true, because I don't exaggerate. Ajahn Chah decided to read my mind. You could feel him inside. Weird to say that, but you knew that he was going inside and having a look. I'd just come out of a nice meditation. It's very rare that you just come out of a nice meditation, you meet your teacher just a few minutes later. And for once I was very happy that he could read my mind. Usually I'd be embarrassed, what's he going to see now? But this time, have a look around, spend all the time you want. Because my mind was really peaceful and very pure, just coming out of a deep meditation. And then I could feel him come out. I don't know why is that feeling, what was that feeling? I don't know, it's just you knew he was inside having a look. And then afterwards, he looked at me. He had to use I was not an Ajahn then, Brahma Wangso, firm to get my attention. And he looked at me, wouldn't take his eye contact off me. Why? That's all he said. Brahma Wangso. Why? He just had a look inside. I should have had a nice clear mind. But my answer was, typical stupid Ajahn Brahm, my answer was, I don't know. And there he was trying his best to enlighten me, and I was stupid. And what do people do, like an Ajahn Chah, when you make a silly mistake? He just laughs. He was laughing and laughing and laughing. He kind of never got angry or upset. When you did something stupid, he just laughed. And then he screwed up his face again, serious. Brahma Wangsa, if anyone asks that question again, I will tell you the answer. I got excited now. I was going to get the answer to one of the most amazing questions. Why? From a great monk. Just personal. Actually, we had his driver next to him, but just three of us. So if anyone ever asks that question again, the answer is, mai mi arai. Which means there's nothing. There's nothing. And then he looked at me again, but this time not his face screwed up with kindness. Do you understand? And I said, nope. Oh no, I didn't, sorry. That's not what happened. That's what should have happened if I was really being honest. Actually, I was honest. He said, do you understand? I said, yes. And then he said, no, you don't. But that was something which remained with me for years. All those questions which we answered and the nuns answered last night, they're all kind of the biggest answer of them all. To every question, there's nothing. you understand? No, you don't. But we always talk about sunyata, emptiness and kindness and stuff. And that's the most beautiful thing. What's another word for this nothing? What's another word for nothing? Does any of you follow tennis? Love. That's a word. It's supposed to be for luf, like an egg. But it came out to me that we pronounce love. So if you have a tennis match, love all. And if you, that's when you start. But then when they start playing, that's where the trouble starts. You lose your love. Well, I kind of like, that was one of those great Ajaan Chah stories. Just you and Ajahn Chah, and he tells you something which is really, really powerful and deep. And the most powerful and deep things are the simple ones. Sometimes people criticize me, say, why do we have some deep Dhamma? Why is it just all jokes and simple stuff? Sometimes people misunderstand. What you can understand is sometimes extremely deep. I remember as a lay Buddhist going to all of these talks about Four Noble Truths and dependent origination, and just chatting with my friends as we left the talk. And we'd always say the same thing. Yeah, that was a really deep talk. Yeah, that was a really deep talk. Did you understand it? Not at all. It was very deep though. That's one of the reasons why, if it's anything here you don't understand, it must be deep. But it's a little interchange like that, why? It's easy to understand that question. And the answer was also easy to understand. But why that was the answer to that question, that was a difficult thing to contemplate for years. It was worth it. When you know there's nothing, you've got nothing to gain, nothing to lose, nothing at all. And any of you wanted to put a donation in the box, put the highest donation, nothing. But anyhow, one of the reasons why the answer is so profound is at the end of the retreat, why do people want to measure themselves, measure their progress, even measure where they are? I saw that in one retreat, not the retreat I was teaching, but people were discussing, what did you do in this retreat, what did you get? And you said, I got a second jhana. Oh, second jhana, that's easy. I've been doing that for years. And it just becomes almost like a steady contest. And so don't try and measure yourself, because often you measure yourself against others. And that's totally unfair. Where in the suttas, where people actually did become enlightened, they're enlightened these days as well. But I always remember this sutta where a monastic came to see the Buddha, and the monastic said, one who's fully enlightened never thinks they're better than anybody else, never thinks they're worse than anybody else, never thinks they're the same as anybody else. And the Buddha said to the monk, yes, correct. And then the monk bowed and went away. And another monastic came up and said, one who's fully enlightened never thinks they're superior, inferior, or equal. And the Buddha said, correct. And the monk, or the monastic, bowed and also went away. And later on, Ananda, the Buddha turned to Ananda, who was his attendant then, and said, they were two new arahats. That's how they explained, where they had got to. If you've had any great wisdom in this retreat, You will know you're not better than anybody else, no matter if you can fly through the air and have laser eyes. You never think you're better. You never think you're worse. You never think you're the same. All those comparisons and measurements are gone. And I kind of like that idea of letting go of measuring. Because if you do let go of measuring, it shows you're letting go of everything you can't control. And that comes from my background as a scientist. It was Lord Kelvin in UK a couple of 100 years ago. And he became the founding head of the Royal Society, basically of physics. And he also was the person who discovered, an absolute scale of temperature, including 0 degrees. You can't get lower than 0 degrees. It's when everything stops. There's no more vibrations. So it became the Kelvin scale of temperature. But then he once said, and I quote him, "The only way to control nature is to learn how to measure nature accurately first." And that's why the start of what's now known as the Industrial Revolution began with people making accurate standards of measurement, to make sure you got an accurate measure of time, accurate measure of space and size. And when you had those accurate measures, there was a sense we can control things. And then, when I was asked that question, of course I love turning it around. What would happen if you can't measure things? Or if you don't measure things? Then there can be no control. That's why, please excuse me, governments, agencies, they all want to take measurements of you. How old are you? How heavy are you? What religion you are? What path you practice? What's your income? Even they do that at the airports to find out who's coming in, who's not coming in, and why you come in, what you do here. The more measuring you do, the more sense of control. When you don't measure anything, you can't control. And that became very clear. So locals here know this story. It became very clear when a couple of years ago I just heard that there was a little government category which I could help the Buddhist Society of West Australia with, of a Commonwealth healthcare card. That's help because I would apply for it. It would mean if I ever got sick, you get special deductions because you were elderly. I resisted for many years because I didn't want anything to prove I was elderly. Well, why not? So I tried to do it online, couldn't do it. So then they said, you have to come in to one of the offices. I said, why? They said, because we have to make sure you are who you say you are. I don't know why anybody else would like to be Ajahn Brahm. If you want identity fraud, you're welcome to my identity. You have to give so many talks and retreats and stuff. But anyhow, so I went and made an appointment. And then when you went to one of these centre care offices, this lady received me and sat me down and said, we need to get you in to prove who you are. Can you prove who you are? And I told her quite honestly, for almost at that time, about 45 years, I've been trying to find out who I am. And I haven't discovered it yet. She didn't look at me like you're looking at me. She said, look, this is not a joke. This is my work. I've got to prove who you are. Have you got any ID? And that's when it got really funny. ID, what do you mean? I like your driver's license. I don't drive a car. I haven't got a driver's license. Okay. What about your credit card? Nope. Bank account? Nope. Your homeowner's details? Nope. Your rental agreement? Nope. What else are you supposed to have? Oh yeah, my marriage certificate. I said, no, I'm not married, I'm a monk. And all these things she asked for to prove who I was, I just didn't have. And then she's getting frustrated. And then she said, Mr. Brahma Wangsa, you don't exist. The Buddha was right. That's actually what I said. And she said, oh, she was really upset. But fortunately, I had a passport, Aussie passport, and I said, oh, that's not enough. But then I actually had a British passport as well, I have two. So, well, I'm not really supposed to take two, but to get rid of you, okay, I accept that. So, sometimes it's fun being a monk in a society where you just do not fit in. I like that. And anyway, but that actually shows you just when we see, what we're actually doing here, we are disappearing. We are not being measured. And then we can disappear and be free. But that's for you. Are you now trying to measure yourself and what happened on the retreat? You have a good retreat? Give it marks. Was this retreat A, or B, or C, or D, or E, or F? What does A mean? Arrogant, yes. I'm glad you remember what I said. So, how would you judge your retreat? F? F means fantastic. It's not even to judge. It doesn't matter. Judging means controlling. If you think it was a great retreat, then you want to come back again and you can't get in. If you think it was a terrible retreat, then you certainly have to come back again and you still can't get in. It causes too much craving and too much ill will. So isn't this retreat so you can feel free and peaceful and happy? At least the happiness, I think, that's there. You're laughing much easier now than when we started this retreat. And that's actually a sign you're more relaxed and at peace. That's really good for your health. That's one of the reasons when I went over to Singapore during the, not cow flu, bird flu, or some sort of flu. SARS, that's right, SARS. And they said, well, why are you going over there? It's a very dangerous thing to do. You might spread diseases. I said, well, look, the disease is there. I want to try and help people become immune from those diseases, especially respiratory diseases. And I said that if, there's respiratory diseases around, one of the greatest antidotes to that is actually to exercise your respiratory system by laughing more. Every time you laugh, your lungs get stronger. They can resist the disease much more. So of course I told a lot of silly jokes, they laughed a lot. I don't think any of my audience got any SARS. Is that a good idea? And it's also at the same time, no, it's actually earlier, when there was bird flu. I remember the bird flu pandemic because at that time I was invited to go to Indonesia. And I went to Perth Airport and the Garuda flight wasn't just delayed, it was cancelled. I couldn't get even into the country and take alternative transport. No, it was totally cancelled. And then I managed to borrow somebody's phone and I think the company's phone, and just ring up the people who were expecting me and said, the flight's been cancelled. They said, why? It's obvious, isn't it? Garuda's a bird, and it's bird flu season. Garuda's got SARS. And apparently the monk who invited me, he gave a talk that evening, but he opened it up and saying, Ajahn Brahm Brahm can't come here. It's not his fault, it's our airline's fault. And they didn't inoculate the plane for SARS. Anyway, that type of happiness is much better than getting upset or angry. And that's the insight actually working. So when you go home, or those of you who stay here, or actually, is this a home for any of you? And my home's in the cave. You've all been in it. It's actually not my home, is it? How many of you have got homes, bedrooms, which are tourist attractions? But anyhow, I'm very glad to be able to share, to make sure that everyone has a taste of how Mark lives, and just a taste of why we're here, and maybe sort of some peace and quietness. There's nothing hardly in that cave except the peace. It took many, many years to save up enough merit to be able to live in a house like that, a home like a cave. Just like some of your homes, it takes so much money to be able to buy a home, a nice, comfortable home. But for me, it's like merit, good karma. So all the good karma you've done on this retreat, that's where you have made the possibility for future opportunities to be able to meditate. And never ever think that there's something blocking you. Never ever think, no, you can't make it in this Buddhist life. Never ever think that, okay, there's a few things you could have done, which they say in the text, means you can't get fully enlightened in this life. But it's not many. And I doubt if any of you have done that. How many of you have actually killed an enlightened monk or nun? I should have asked that question the first day. It's kind of impossible, almost impossible, to get these really bad karmas which stop you becoming enlightened. So all of you are fine. And hopefully you have the confidence. It doesn't matter if you have some bad experiences in the past, you've had trauma in the past, you're really hurting and aching, your whole body is on fire with pain. You can still become enlightened. You can still get into these deep dhammas. Why not? So basically, I hope I've impressed upon you that the doors to Nibbana are open to you. You can go in. And any time you think, no, I can't, that is a problem. And to prove that to you, if you haven't become enlightened yet, there is one more chance. Actually, many more chances. Because now we're going to do, is it about the right time? Oh, I know, I'm early. Okay, so a few more jokes. No, actually, no. I wanted to start the metta meditation at 9 o'clock, because half an hour is not long enough. So we have 10 minutes now, it's 8:50. So I'm going to pause the talk now, and to see if anyone needs to go to the toilet break. And so we can start at 9 o'clock the metta meditation. Is that okay? If it's not okay, I'm still going to do it this way. If you want to go to the toilet, get some things, and in 10 minutes' time we can start the walking meditation. Not the metta meditation. I'm glad you laugh rather than groan.